going to go in kind of order by grade, which is kind of how we have these put together. Our first guy was a sophomore. Again, we were handed a pretty talented sophomore group. Our first guy, you know, had a little fun fall over his motorcycle or whatever he was riding and kind of missed a big part of the year. But he's going to play a role down the stretch of these playoffs, and we're proud to have him on our team. Is Noah Dowell. Okay, another sophomore, real talented, like we talked about. This is a kid who is yes sir, yes sir, yes coach, the whole time. And early on, there was a lot of times when I would, you know, kind of say something, we kind of put him in a new position. He's predominantly a catcher by trade, and we kind of crash coursed him at first base, and I got yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. And then a couple of mistakes would happen, and I said, well, Chris, remember when we were talking about that, you gave me yes sir, and some of the stuff kind of absorbed, some of it didn't. And I finally had a conversation with him about, let me know if you understand, you don't need yes sir, and this kid took off. From that point, our dialogue got so much better, and he explained what he needed from us, and we're hoping that we're going to be real instrumental in moving this kid forward, and he's going to be a special one, and that's Chris Troy. This was our starting shortstop. You know, we knew he could play a little defense, and you know, he got out of the gate struggling a little bit with a bat, and he pretty much did everything we asked him to do. He's out there after practice, on Saturdays, on Sundays, to the point where his hands are raw, taking extra batting practice with his dad. Real special kid, and that's Gio Diaz. Okay, the last of the sophomores. Again, this kid in the fall, you know, showed us a lot of what was advertised. This kid could do this and whatnot, and hit the ball, and all these different things you kept hearing, but you don't really actually get a chance to see it until they get out there on the field. And he showed so much at the plate that we pretty much just kind of let him roll. We put him in a new position. He took on the role wholeheartedly. Even when we made a change later in the season and put him at DH, he took off. He concentrated on his hitting, and he had a great year, especially in the BVAL, and that's Jake Cosgrove. You know it. This is one of our juniors. He was our first baseman last year. Just a real natural swing on this kid. The sky is the limit. He was our catcher this year, and guys, if you watch some of our games, defensively, he took on the role, and he did a great job and kept us in a lot of ball games. And that's not even talking about what he did with the bat. It's phenomenal, and again, the ceiling is so high for this kid, and I've known him since he's been about this time. I love him, and it's Jake Cruz. Okay, I go from a real tall one to a real short one. This kid, again, he had a kind of a hiatus in the beginning of the season. Let's just call it that. But defensive skills at second base are probably the best I've seen since I've been coaching here. And he's got a lot of pop for a little guy from the left side. He's our leadoff hitter and our leader, Angelo Denton. Okay, there's a kid that we saw some stuff last year as a sophomore. You know, kind of told him, hey, you do this really well. Just do that. Don't try to change. During the fall, he came out and he was trying to be Kevin Milam or somebody else with a swing, and just things weren't going well. We had a conversation with him. He went back to what he does well, and not only did he do it well, he led the league in hitting this year, and that's Burt Robinson. This kid here, you know, he filled a role and a thankless job all year long, never said a word, took advantage of the opportunities, and there were very few, I get that, but he served a role that we absolutely had to have, and he never once got dejected, and he stayed, you know, very, very positive in the dugout, and again, he controlled our pitchers, got them ready, and that's junior meetings. Okay, this next one, he's going to get mentioned a few times here tonight. Came to us as a, you know, pretty talented freshman. You know, had a really good year last year and just kicked the door in this year. We'll talk a little bit more about him, but he's our number one pitcher, and that's Kevin Milam. Yeah! Perfect timing. This one here didn't get what, you know, probably the time that he wanted last year, but he came ready to go this year. And right out of the gate, right from the first fall ball game that I saw him pitch at LMC, I just went, uh-oh, where'd that come from? Okay? Now, we didn't see a lot of that last year, and we saw it all year this year, and he's our number 2 pitcher, our lefty, and that's Austin Mann. Okay, when we were going through, we had a big whiteboard when we were doing our cuts that dreadful night when we have to tell kids that they're not going to play. And this kid here was, his name just kept coming up. Man, he's got so much of this, so much that. You know, the ceiling is so high for this kid. And when you're talking about pitchers and natural ability that, you know, the Lord gives them, this kid has it all. And if he's going to get a chance to put it together next year, and we're looking for big things out of him, that's Ethan Hyman. This one here, last year, let's just say he probably wants to forget about it. But I tell you right now, we would not be where we are, wind-wise, chemistry-wise, without this kid. He had a phenomenal year. Just to give you some quick numbers, we played 10 league games. This kid drove in 20 runs. That's 2 per game. Over 10 game span. That's pretty phenomenal. And I love him to death, Dominic Espino. This one was a pleasant surprise this year. I go back in fall ball when he was a freshman, and I remember Andy telling him he had to back up the pitcher every time there was a throwback when he played shortstop. Didn't want to do it. No. Kind of was on his own thing, and so kind of forgot about him. I knew there was a natural ability there, and we liked what we saw, but just figured, okay, he's going to have to mature a little bit. Had a great year last year at the JV level. Didn't expect a whole lot, quite frankly, out of him this year. Put him in the outfield. Took to it like no problem. Made some great plays out there. But the kid hit the crap out of the ball all year long, and he's somebody that was going to help us in the playoffs, and that's Jason Anderson. And he's our ping pong champion from last night as well. This kid here has got a special spot, obviously, just like all of these guys do, but we were finished with fall ball. We were getting ready to go into workouts. And this kid called me and asked me if he could come and talk to me at the field. And Greg and I were doing something out there. And came out and said, Coach, I want to play. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, you missed all the fall ball. You didn't play last year. You know, And I didn't want to discourage him. I said, okay, well, we're going to start morning workouts. Never missed one. Busted his butt the whole time. And the guys in this room, the players in this room, made no doubt about it. They wanted him on this ball club. And I'm so glad we made that decision. And Daniel Martin. I'm not going to hold the fact that this guy's a Dodger fan, but this kid here had a really good year last year at the JV level, and with the talent that we had at the pitching spot, we had a long conversation about what his role might be, and his exact words, "I don't care. I will do whatever it takes," and he did, and he's a special kid, and that's Chris Matosi. Okay, this is another senior that had some pretty good success last year. Got out of the gate, pitched a heck of a game in his first start up in Santa Rosa North, and then kind of hit a bump in one of the games. And it was a game where he lost, big deal. But I never seen a kid wear it the way this kid wear it. He came to me and he felt like it was his fault, and we made all kinds of mistakes and everything else, but he put it on him. And the entire year, all he did was try to get back to a point of being recognized and being respected by his teammates. He always had the respect from me. I can tell you that right now. I never wavered on that. He came out kind of, working with a confidence factor, right? And he got back to a spot where we're ready to go. And then one of these guys threw a ball that he didn't see and hit him in the head. So that put him back a week and a half or so. Right? Okay? But the last few outings, he's done exactly what we expect out of him, and he will be a big part of what we do. And I'm definitely going to miss this kid and his family, and that's Logo. Our next senior, just athletically very, very talented, okay? He can just go flat out, go get a fly ball. He can just flat out go get a fly ball. We worked with him last year and tried to do some things to, get his swing going, and he finally got to a point this year where he decided, I'm just going to do it, and he's had some success lately, and again, we're never afraid to put this kid in the game, and that's Trey Edwards. Okay, I call this Mr. Worry Word, this guy here. Every swing this kid takes, he'll ask you, what did I do wrong? What did I do? Did I do something? Did I lift? Did I pull? Did I take my head off? Wants to know, he wants that instant feedback, right? And the kid's got a natural swing, and when we plugged him in at third base this year, everything kind of seemed to come together, and he's been a huge leader now for 2 years, and I'm going to miss him terribly. That's Jason Ochoa. Next senior, again, this kid has so much natural ability, and I was really, really happy to see it kind of come through this year for us in such a big way. I mean, he kind of found a niche as our closer. The unfortunate part about being a closer, we kind of use them in close games, and if you look at what we did in the BVAL, there wasn't a whole lot of close games, but every time we threw him out there, you could just see his confidence grow and grow. As a head coach heading into a very tight, playoff tournament, it's very nice to know I got this guy sitting there waiting in the wings, and that's Matt Pillows. Here's another one of our outfielders that can flat out go get a fly ball. and really, to be honest with you, really worked really hard on his hitting this year. And he had some spots, where, he had some, shining moments. But for the bigger thing that he brought to this table was the fact that he brought some senior leadership on a group of seniors that it's so diverse. It's funny. But this kid here, had a little accident and a little downboard and longboard wipeout somewhere, and he's going to miss the rest of the season. But I tell you what, he's a great kid to have, and we're going to definitely miss him. And that's Tyler Sluice.
Good job, Tyler.
Again, we have these conversations right before we do the cuts, and I try to have a conversation with players that are kind of, probably going in, are not going to have a big role to chew on. Okay, so I pull this kid off to the side again. No, whatever you want. I'll do whatever. And that's hard because I know I'm dealing with a kid that says that, but it's also very hard because parents are driving to all of these games to see their kid not play is a rough thing to do. And this kid was a born leader on our team. Anytime there was a conflict, he made sure it got squashed quick. And I'm going to miss him, and that's Trevor Soper. One of our infielders, again, the character on this kid is, his parents, I know, are proud. I'm very proud that I had the opportunity to coach him for 3+ years, 4 years in the program. Just gets it done in the classroom. He's one of my main leaders at my camps, and I'm hoping to get him out there during the summer, and you'll actually get paid this time. But just a great kid, and filled a big role for us this year, and that's Colin Summers. Okay, another one who had that same conversation. I don't care. Just want to be on the club. Do whatever. And, I don't even know how many at-bats he had. But he constantly was one of the leaders in the dugouts. Never wavered. Showed up to every practice. Throw double, we have BP rotations. And he would throw until his arm would fall off. And there are guys here that want him to throw to him. And he served a great purpose for us. And again, I hope for big things out of him next year. And that's Ben Withers. Okay, like we talked about, we're not going to do a lot of our individual awards until the end of the season, but we do have some stuff that we want to hand out that the league has done, and a couple other academic things. This year, they started actually this last year, where they actually have an honor award, and that award is given to a player on a particular team in the BVAL that kind of serves, maybe not necessarily, the home runs and the RBIs, and just kind of serves with honor. And again, I know he had a rough year, and again, he's sitting there with a splint, but our honor award winner goes to Tyler Sluice. Okay, at any given time, a baseball lineup consists of 9-10 guys, right? 9 defensive guys, sometimes you have a DH. And so when we went to the all-league meeting on Monday, we had these numbers. I'm looking at these kids' numbers, and it's like, man, how am I going to get all of these kids something? And we walked away with 11 kids getting something just based on what they did in league, and it's phenomenal. We had 2 honorable mentions, and this kid again, we talked about it earlier, the ceiling is so high for this kid, and I'm very proud of him, and that's Chris Troy. This kid here, again, all talent. He was a first teamer last year. Did a great job for us, all year long, especially during the BVAL. But our second honorable mention goes to Bubba Denton. Okay, these next 4 guys all made second team. And I'm kind of calling this one out first because I sort of have to make an apology. Because if we would have played that game on that Thursday and he would have done what he did on the Tuesday, he would have been on the first team. You know, he was 3 for 4, and that put his numbers in a first team category. In our hearts, you know, these guys are all first teamers. But this first one goes to Jason Ochoa. The second one, you know, I started doing the stats and I'm watching them kind of progress, and I'm not a big numbers guy, but what I look at the stats for is mainly like on base percentages. The kid getting on. If the kid's getting on base, it helps us get a chance to score runs. And I kind of had to take a second look to make sure that I didn't make a mistake. But this kid hit over 400 in league, and he was second team all league, and that's Jay Cosgrove. Our next one again, just did it by perseveration. He just continued to work. Now, he may have did it because his dad told him he was going to, and he didn't have a choice, but I tell you what, he was out there every night, and he earned this award, and that's Gio Diaz. Yeah. And again, our next one, we kind of had a rotation going where, you know, this kid would sit, and then maybe Chris would sit, and then maybe Jake would sit, and kind of did like a 3-way rotation to just keep their bats in the lineup because they were so hot. And I couldn't be prouder to give a second team all league to Jason Anderson. Okay, now the first teamers. Again, these things are hard to do when you go in a room with a bunch of other coaches wanting to pull for their guys, rightfully so. What was nice about all 4 of these first teamers, you know, I put my guys up on the wall, and I kind of threw out, I think these guys are all no-brainers, and everybody in the room said, yep, never even had to vote for them. So these guys are all unanimous. Our first one is our left-handed pitcher, and that's Austin May. Again, we talked about this guy's numbers in the league, kind of off the charts with the 20 RBIs, but over 500 batting average. You know, he was one of 2 kids that on our team that had over 500 batting average in league. Put him in center field and went and got the balls. Just did the job and looks really good out there. But the clutch hitting he had down the stretch is phenomenal. We hope that stays that way. We don't want to jinx anything, and that's Domino Espino. The next one is, again, amazing numbers. You know, the thing that kind of gets overlooked when you hit 571 is it kind of stands out, but the things that I didn't even get a chance to talk about in that meeting was, you know, how great his defense was. You know, and he played a great right field for us. And again, he brought a lot of clutch hits. Every time there was 2 outs, he was the guy we wanted on there, and that's Alex Robbins. This one, the last first teamer, you know, again, was our starting catcher, and that's a position that's near and dear to me. And early on in the year, when maybe things didn't go so well at the plate, I was worried that would be taken back behind the plate. And if anybody remembers the Liberty game and all the blocks that he made when Kevin was bouncing those 59-footers up there with runners on base, again, that's not a knock on Kevin. That's where we want the pitch in that situation. He blocked every single one of those. Again, we could go on and on about his offense, but you know, he's definitely a guy I want, you know, up at the plate when the game's on the line, and that's Jay Cruz. Okay, technically, it's not called first team, but it's called something a little more special. He was the most valuable player of the entire league. Kevin's had his share of awards over the years, but there's none more deserving than this one. He did it from, on the offensive aspect. He also did it, from on the mound. As a special player, we're not done, so we're expecting a lot more big things, so we don't want to end it tonight. But this MVP of the BVAL for 2015 goes to Kevin Myers. Okay, you would think, we got just a bunch of, jocks up here and they, just kind of get by in the classroom, but this is the highest GPA that I have had as a group, and again, we're talking about 23 guys out there, and for us to have a GPA of a team GPA that we had, it was phenomenal, and it says a lot to what you as parents instill in them to make sure that they do get it done in the classroom. The NCS gives out grade point average scholar athletes to anybody with a 3.5 or better. Our first one with a 3.57 is Jason Anderson. Matching that 3.57 is pretty amazing because he does a lot. He does a lot on the field. He does a lot of work off the field, on his game. But obviously, he does a lot of work in the classroom as well with a 3.57, Dominic Espino. Okay, the athletic director gives out an award to anybody with a 3.75 or higher. 3.75, and we've heard some 4.0s and whatnot, and this kid's grade point average was 3.86, and that's probably an off year for him. Okay, if you look at the classes that this guy's taking, there isn't any underwater basket weaving involved in it. These are all AP classes that this kid's taking, and it's an amazing job that he's done in the classroom and on the field. But Austin Manning. Okay, guys, before you go home tonight, make sure you get your letters for the guys that need letters, and make sure you get your pins. If you guys want, you can kind of get in an area. We're going to go ahead and play the video, get in a spot where you can actually see it. The video is only 8 minutes, and it's kind of a tribute to our seniors every year, and it's very hard to look at some of these pictures that I've gotten from the parents and not just, remember tons of stories and things that have happened over the years.
Hey, you're doing a great job. Thank you. Good job. I'm really proud of you. I can't really see walking our team this year. Yeah, I don't know. I like walking.
Okay. Anyways, this is kind of a, I don't know, I enjoy it. It's very hard to watch for me, especially the first time through watching it and seeing his faces. And I've been where you guys are. Sat in rooms where my kids played athletics activity, and that last night as a senior was rough. You think I cried here, you should have saw me back then. And it's one of those things that you just kind of sit there, and maybe some of these thoughts are going through your head now, where did 4 years go? It goes by so quick that you feel like you got cheated somehow. And I feel for you, and I know that these kids have built some memories this year. And if anybody's ever been around either any of our workouts or our practices, these guys have fun. All they want to do is have fun. And it showed with maybe an adjustment in coaching styles to where maybe that hard line of do this, do that, it was kind of worn itself thin with these guys. And I'm appreciative to a lot of people in this room that brought some things to my attention that's allowed this team to excel the way it did. So this is a little something for the seniors, and I have plenty of them up here, so all senior parents, make sure you come grab this when you get a chance. Here it goes.
Oh, Tyler.
No,